Press play and let the story begin. Welcome to Velvety Vibe. I wiped my tears away and went on. In these 10 days I've been here, have you seen anything improper from me? Have I made one wrong move? Stolen even once? Sultani jumped up, disgust dripping from her voice. Oh, listen to that mouth. What nerve! That's enough, Sahar. Salehi snapped back, her tone sharp now. What has this poor girl done to deserve your cruelty? At that moment, the office door swung open. Diako stepped out, his face dark with a deep frown. His eyes swept over the three of us, and he barked. What the hell is going on here? Sultani cut in first. I don't know really, just look at the scene she's making. Diako turned his eyes on me. What's going on, Miss Niayesh? I lowered my head and said nothing. I'm talking to you, miss. I flinched, my body trembling. Why was he raising his voice at me? I had only defended myself. Sultani stepped closer to him and said, She's barely been here a month, and already she dares talk back to me. I told you, people like her just can't handle it. I looked at him with tear-filled eyes. Sally squeezed my arm gently. Shadab's not at fault, she said. But Diako didn't even glance at her. He only said, Come to my office. Helpless, I looked to Sally. She blinked slowly, then again, as if to say, Go. With unsteady steps, I passed Sultani's triumphant gaze and entered the office. Closed the door. I shut it behind me, clasped my hands together, and kept my head bowed. Sit down. I wiped my face with the palm of my hand and sat opposite him. I couldn't lift my head, couldn't bring myself to look into his angry eyes. My hands rested on my knees, my gaze fixed on my short, trimmed nails. I curled my fingers tight. Sitting here, across from Diako in his office, I wondered if maybe Sultani had been right. I had no charm, nothing to draw customers. Sultani, with her long, elegant nails, painted in bright colors, caught far more attention than I ever could. With my plain face and colorless looks. So, tell me, what happened? I was so lost in my own thoughts that his voice startled me. I pressed my knees together, clamped my lips shut. A tear slipped down my cheek and landed on my bent finger. Shadab? My heart jumped. Did he just call me by name? The way he said it was nothing like how others did. The name sounded strange, unfamiliar in his voice, but somehow more beautiful. Miss Shadab, I'm talking to you. Don't say miss. Just Shadab. Only Shadab. I wiped at my face again, afraid my tears were clogging my ears. He picked up a box of tissues from the desk and held it out to me. Here, wipe your tears. How thoughtful. It was just in time, because my nose had started to run as well. I muttered softly, Thank you. Now look me in the eyes and tell me what happened. Look him in the eyes? I couldn't. Miss Shadab, I'm waiting. Slowly, I lifted my head. I avoided meeting his gaze directly, but I realized the anger from moments before was gone. That eased me a little. Still, what could I say? I hated speaking ill of others. His eyes stayed fixed on me. Finally, I whispered, I think Miss Sultani doesn't like me. He leaned forward, resting his forearms on his thighs, supporting his weight. Why? I swallowed hard. Why indeed? I truly didn't understand the reason behind her hostility. I don't know. Honestly, I never do anything to her. But for some reason, she just doesn't like me. Even I felt crushed by my own helplessness. I wanted to pour out every cruel word and cutting remark Sultani had thrown at me, but that would have been gossip, and I hated gossip. Maybe I did something to upset her, I whispered, but I honestly don't know what that bad thing could be. He leaned in closer. Shadab, look at me. Please don't just say Shadab. Miss Shadab was easier on my heart. Miss Niayesh even better. I couldn't take that warm, melodic tone. Look at me, girl. I lifted my face, but not enough to meet his eyes. I heard what you said. I can guess what those words were an answer to. The reminder tightened my throat, tears rising again. He stood and came to sit beside me. So close. The kind of closeness I'd only dared to imagine. Never be ashamed of being poor. Shame belongs to cultural poverty, not financial poverty. With hard work and persistence, you can overcome hardship one day. But God help the ones who. He break off. I glanced at him. He studied my face for a moment, then smiled. You get what I'm saying? I didn't. Not really. How could I focus when the space between us was barely there? But I nodded anyway. He laughed louder this time and placed his hand over mine. I froze. Burned. Died. Good. I like you just the way you are. Promise me you won't change, okay? Oh God, what was this man doing to me? He liked me? Just the way I was? Promise me, Shadab? My chest felt like it might burst open. Every inch of me was aflame. Gently, I slipped my hand out from under his. At that moment, if he'd asked for my life, I would have given it. So what was a promise? I promise. He caught my hand again. Say it louder. I didn't hear you. I was losing strength. I swear I was dying. I promise. He exhaled, finally letting go. That's my good girl. He leaned back, hands laced behind his head, stretching. Couldn't he hear my heart hammering? Anyway, we should get back to work. Though honestly, I'm starving. I don't think I can focus. He was hungry. My Diako was hungry. I hurried to unzip my backpack, pulled out a small plastic bag, and handed it to him. He looked at me kindly. What's this? Just some bread, cheese, and herbs. My mom packed it for me. I'm not hungry. You have it. With that mysterious, beautiful smile, he opened the bag and handed me one half, keeping the other for himself. Then, let's share it. I started to protest, but he gave me a small frown. Eat. It doesn't taste the same alone, not with me. So I had to eat, just to be with him. He dug in, while I sat there thinking about our first shared meal. Mine and his. Mine and Diaco's. He took a huge bite, then grinned at me. Come on, eat. You need to balance yourself out. Then he sent me a playful wink. My entire bloodstream rushed to my cheeks. He burst into loud, hearty laughter. Diako. My tired eyes drifted away from the computer screen, fingers rubbing at them. My head throbbed. This damned TV project had worn everyone down. I craved a mug of hot Nescafe. My stomach growled. The only thing I'd eaten all day was that little sandwich Shadab had shared. Shadab. Where was she? Had she left? Why didn't she come to say goodbye? I jumped up and hurried out of my office, and there she was. The little girl had fallen asleep, head resting on her notebook. I checked the clock, 9:30. I didn't have the heart to wake her. Her face was peaceful, serene. I wanted to borrow just a fragment of that calm. I pulled up a wooden chair and sat beside her. Her straight black hair had fallen across her face. One hand rested on her books, the other propped under her cheek. She breathed quietly, evenly. Her lashes, dark and long, untouched by mascara, looked impossibly delicate. I wanted to touch them, but feared waking her. Her lips were slightly parted, her small shoulders rising and falling with each breath. Carefully, I brushed a strand of hair from her face. Her eyelids twitched, but she didn't wake. She must have been exhausted to fall asleep so deeply after all that had happened. I thought of how angry I'd been with her earlier. I had even raised my voice. Her meekness had infuriated me. I'd overheard their words. I wish she had stood up for herself more fiercely. That she had slapped Sultani across the face if she had to. Not just sat there so timid, so polite. When I heard her crying outside my door today, I remembered Dunyar, his first day of school. When the kids mocked his Kurdish accent and worn clothes, he had just stood in a corner, crying until I arrived. That day, I hit him hard enough that the marks of my fingers stayed on his pale cheek for a week. I yelled at him, told him never to let anyone insult his heritage, never to grow up beaten down just because we were poor. Part of me wanted to deliver the same slap to this girl, to force her to toughen up, to stop being so submissive, so patient, so easily toyed with by people like Sultani. But when she sat across from me earlier, curled up in fear, eyes brimming with tears, I couldn't. Her look reminded me of Diane, my little sister, sweet, innocent Diane. I couldn't destroy Shadab's purity, her simplicity. How many girls still blushed scarlet at the touch of a man's hand? A purely friendly hand. How many were still this guileless, yet brave enough to fight for their family in silence? How many endured humiliation and pain, yet refused to complain, instead blaming themselves with heartbreaking innocence? No, Shadab wasn't Danyar. He had the fire to resist injustice. I only had to wake it. But this girl was innocent to her core. Even if she were rich, it wouldn't change. She was naturally pure, simple, fragile, like Diane, my Diane. I was helpless today, not knowing how to soothe this frostbitten child, how to heal her small heart. I didn't believe I could erase that heavy lump in her throat. Worst of all, she was afraid of me too. With another girl, maybe I would have pulled her close like a father, comforted her. But this one, this innocent child, couldn't bear such contact. She was still too young to understand the difference between a fatherly embrace, a brotherly hug, or something else. But then I realized, no, she was a child. Comforting her was simple, like comforting a child. Share a toy, share a game, share a meal. And so, just by sharing her humble sandwich, I had won her over. The way she watched me eat, beaming, told me she'd forgotten Sultani and even my shouting. I looked at the books scattered across her desk. Alongside Photoshop notes were her own handwritten class materials. I squeezed my eyes shut. She was too young for this much hardship, too fragile, too breakable. If only I could help her another way. A way that wouldn't drain her, wouldn't sabotage her studies, wouldn't pile so much weight onto those small shoulders. If only she would let me be like a father to her, or a brother. If only I could take her under my wing. But Tabassom had warned me. If Shadab ever sensed pity, she'd walk away from everything. I didn't want that. I couldn't bear to cut even this small income from her family's table. I couldn't throw this grown-up Diane into the jaws of this cursed city. I checked my watch again. She must be late. Rising, I pushed the chair back. I stood over her and spoke softly. Shadab? Nothing. Again and again, I called her name. She only stirred. Finally, I touched her shoulder. She startled awake, eyes wide, confused, until she remembered where she was. Suddenly, she jumped up. Oh no, I fell asleep. I knew she was embarrassed and worried that her boss had seen her like this. I gave her a smile. It's okay. Pack up. It's late. She turned to the wall clock. Oh God, my mom. As I headed back toward my office, I said, I'll drive you home. Put your seatbelt on. She twisted a little in her seat, searching for the belt with her eyes. Found it, clicked it in place. Every single move she made was sweet. So, where am I taking you? Blushing, she murmured. Sorry, I'm troubling you. I smiled. Just give me the address, girl. I started the car. Her fingers were laced so tightly together, I could tell she was nervous. I spoke softly. Don't worry. Want me to come explain everything to your mom myself? Still staring out the window, she said, No. She'll believe me. It's just, I know she's standing outside right now, waiting. She's worried. How lucky to have a mother who trusted her daughter this much. To distract her, I asked, "What's your sister's name?" "Shadi." "Just the one sister?" "Yes." I hesitated, unsure if it was too personal, but I wanted to know more. "And your mom? What does she do?" "She sews wedding dresses, mostly the beading work." "And your dad?" She shot me a sharp look. "He's alive?" Her head dropped. She no longer cared to look at the bright streets or the colorful lights outside. In a low voice, she said, "Yeah, he's alive." It was obvious she didn't want to talk about him. "So what does he do?" She drew in a deep breath. "He's unemployed, an addict." I had guessed as much. "Does he live with you?" She hunched her shoulders as if trying to disappear into herself. "Yeah, but I don't see him." She was ashamed, hurting. I could see that. But I wanted to understand more. "How come?" She exhaled sharply. "He stays in a room with the door always shut. Never comes out when we're home. And if he does, I take Shadi to our room. I don't want to see him." As if her life didn't already have enough pain. Why? Her eyes met mine, full of hurt. I relented. "If you don't want to talk about it, don't." She sighed. I want to remember my dad the way I loved him. I don't want to see his face now." I eased off the gas a little. "How long has he been using?" She pressed her forehead to the window. 10 years. I stayed silent. She went on. "I remember before that. We weren't rich, but things were better. Dad was an electrician. His income wasn't bad. Mom still sewed, but not like now. She didn't have to work herself to death. When we bought this house, we went out to a restaurant for the first time all together. We celebrated. Shadi was 5, I was 8. That night was the last of our happy days. Within a year, everything collapsed. After that, Mom carried all the weight of our lives on her back. Dad never came out of that room again. And we didn't want to see him either. That's it." She didn't want to say more. But the fact she'd spoken honestly at all, without hiding behind lies, meant the world. She wasn't crying, but her chin was trembling. I shouldn't have pushed into her life. So I changed the subject. "How's Photoshop going?" Softly, she said, "Not great. It's really hard." Of course, it was too much to expect her to learn such a difficult program from a book, without even a computer of her own, while juggling schoolwork on top of it. "Starting tomorrow, we'll practice together the last hour of your shift, when it's quieter for both of us. Deal?" She looked at me, surprised. "But no buts. The sooner you learn, the better for me. If you can master it the way I want, within 10 days, I'll give you a prize. Agreed?" She laughed, delighted. "Agreed. So easy to make this girl happy." I nodded toward a narrow street. "This your place?" She glanced around. "Wow, we got here so fast." I was about to turn into the alley, but she stopped me. "It's better if I get out here. Our neighbors are really nosy." I nodded. "All right, I'll wait here until you're inside." She looked at me with such gratitude, her beautiful eyes shining. For the first time, she held my gaze for a few seconds. There was something there I couldn't quite read. I smiled. "Your mom's worried, you know." Her whole face flushed. She dropped her head, mumbled goodbye, then bolted out of the car and ran off. Daniar. I threw myself onto the couch, stuck an American cigar between my lips. One hand cupped it, the other flicked the lighter. Inhaled deep, blew the smoke out through my nose. "We've missed you, Danny." I pulled the cigar away and glanced at her legs. Long, pale, perfectly shaped. My friend's girlfriend, wrapped up in his arms, while practically flirting with his friend at the same time. Sitting on the armrest, one leg crossed over the other. With just a little more effort, I could have seen her underwear. Her hand was around Saeed's neck while he babbled into his phone. I couldn't help smirking. Stupid bastard. I almost wanted to brand him spineless, but then again, this girl wasn't worth wasting loyalty on. You've been keeping your distance, Danny. We had to beg you to come. I frowned. Why were girls so obsessed with shortening my name? And always to the same damn thing. And no matter how many times we call that damn phone of yours, you never answer. Saeed's obnoxious laughter grated on my nerves. With a groan, I muttered, "Go yell in another room. You're killing me." She winked, blew me a kiss, and slipped out onto the balcony, closing the door behind her. I leaned back against the couch, staring up at the ceiling. See, Danny? That's always her thing. Never hangs up the phone. Doesn't care we've got guests. I'm so tired of her thoughtlessness. The corner of my mouth twitched. Tired of her thoughtlessness? Thoughtlessness in what? Having a guest? Or having a wife? I felt her presence before I saw her. She perched herself on the armrest beside me again, crossing those legs. Her perfume clung to the air, invading my lungs. She lifted a finger and brushed my earlobe. "So, how's that Barbie girlfriend of yours?" Then, mocking, "Mata." Her hands slid down slowly, nails grazing the side of my neck. "How does she even put up with your silence?" She leaned closer, her warm breath grazing my cheek. From the corner of my eye, I caught the sight of her pink, plump lips, right there in front of me. Her 4 fingers stroked across my throat as she whispered, "When you're gone, I think no girl could stand you. But when I see you this close, when you glare at me like that, I get it. That poor Mata's got every right. You've got something in you, Danny. A magnet, strong enough to pull stone. So imagine what it does to a girl.